Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, August 8th of 2021. It's my ex-wife's birthday. We've been divorced for about 40 years. I said 40 years. We're sharing this apartment, though, with our grown son in order to help with uh, expenses. A black realtor was showing a home to a black father and son. They were handcuffed by the Michigan police. I didn't click on this. I wonder what happened. Some black people in a house that is apparently up for sale, and perhaps nobody's been living in it. And the police looked in, and what's the first thing they thought? I wonder. An Arizona lawmaker faces calls for resignation after arrest on child sexual abuse charges. And he's not a Republican, he's a Democrat. Amazing. And not only that, I clicked on this last night or whatever. Not only that, he was underage boys. He was living in the same house with, and anyway, Governor Cuomo, also a Democrat, by the way, why doesn't he just resign? You know, I'm not in favor of term limits, but it wouldn't break my heart if some type of term limits were. The reason is, well, uh, and former President Trump proves that we actually need experience. I mean, the Congress is held in. I think the only people, I don't know where they rank on the. We ought to do a search for that. Most despised people or whatever. Well, lawyers would be at the top of the list. Members of Congress would be at the top. Democrat and Congress in general, the whole thing. And so it makes you think. Just you know, kick them out after one term or something. But actually, we do need experienced people like President Biden. We do need experienced people. But it's ridiculous that, somebody is elected to Congress and serves in Congress forever, and then he or she, let's say he dies, and then his wife is elected to fill his spot. I mean, it just goes on and on. McCain. Well, he's a Republican, so he was bad. But I mean, he was not. not like the current, batch of Republicans that are, I don't know what's wrong. I think aliens have invaded their brain or something. I mean, it's just, but, he went to the Naval College, I guess he went to Annapolis, and which is the way it should be, of course. I mean, how many U.S. academies are there? I bet you don't know. Well, if you're out of the, probably if you're outside the United States, you probably know better than people here in the United States. If you're in the United States, you're probably saying, I don't know, or you're saying 3, and you're wrong. There's 5, and all of them free education, free everything. So you graduate with no student loans, except you have to go into the military. You either have to go into the Coast Guard, or you have to go into the Merchant Marine Service, but you could also go into any of the branches of the military, or you can go out. Well, it's just too complicated. And then of course there's West Point, Annapolis, and the Air Force Academy. But also let's get back to McCain. He went to the academy, came out, went into the Navy, became a pilot, was in the Navy. Eventually shot down, a prisoner of war, tortured, all types of stuff. Comes out, and pretty quick he's in Congress. And he stays in Congress for the rest of his life. He's in Congress. Not a bad man, except he takes the Republican, points of view. Help for people in, going to college? No. Free college? No. Which he had. Health care, national health care for everybody? No. Except he had in the military. He got out of the military. I think he tried maybe being in business or something for a very, very short time. And then he was in, free health care from the government. That's just, sorry about the sandwich, but it's my breakfast. I wanted to make this video for some reason. I like my new camera. I adjusted, it's kind of a little dim in here, but I adjusted the color a little bit, stuff like that. I think this camera is really nice. I said yesterday I was going to switch keyboards, and I did. Now I'm using the DOS keyboard, and it has, one USB 3.0 that you plug in to the computer, and then you have on your keyboard 2 USB 3.0 that are available. But I've only had it plugged in there for a few minutes today. And this is the keyboard that I was using, and I like it. And I'm going to switch back here later on today because I just can't. I want a lighted keyboard, but I do like this other keyboard. But I forgot when I talked to you. Yeah, this cable is so thick. But I forgot until I went to unplug this son of a gun. It has, by the way, one USB, not 3.0, on it. But it's got, in order to get that, there's two, you have to plug in two USB, and then it's also got this, which you don't have to plug in, you know, the audio thing. So, but anyway, I'll be plugging this thing back in. We've got an orange cat that comes. You know, we have on our patio 2 cat houses. We've got, we put food out for the orange cat, and then there's another cat that comes. The orange cat's got a hurt foot. It just shows up like at night, usually. Excuse me. You probably noticed I moved the camera. I think it's the first movie I made, or first video. Camera's there on top of that little what do you call it? Shelving. What a, you know, I lived through, of course I was a kid, polio epidemic. My ex-wife, she was about 5, and she got polio. And then right after she got polio, you know, they came up with the vaccine, which eliminated basically polio. And when I was a kid, we had, you know, like measles and all those type of things. Measles was eliminated by the vaccine. Polio was eliminated by the vaccine. I do know there are some countries, some place where polio still, you know, still exists. People, healthcare workers have gone there to give the vaccine to the children there, and quite a few of them have been killed by the locals who think that, you know, it's trying to do away with their religion or trying to, you know, whatever. But you know, we got more of those crazies now here in the United States. It's just amazing. It's sort of, oh God, you know. You'll find some video that I made here in the past, which I want to apologize for, because I found out it's incorrect. You know, I several times I talked about my theory, which is now I realize wrong. I said in the past, you know, that if you eliminated, you know, from the American people, the people that were in the Klan and these right wing, you know, if you eliminated those, and you eliminated the black militant people, which aren't the ones that are, you know, protesting, you know, losing their, you know, cool and doing stuff they shouldn't do, getting, you know, going too far. I was talking about like Black Panthers and those kind of people. I said, if you eliminated those people, and then you were to, you know, survey, or if you could look at the, you know, the population of the United States, you would find that the really racist people, not the white people, sure there's racism there, but it would be the black people, a lot of them, not all of them, but it'd be, you know, some of them. I was wrong. I found out, and then of course I was confirmed. I thought I was correct when the American people elected, you know, Barack Obama, a black man, as President of the United States 2 times. Except, and as soon as he got elected, I didn't have to wait for him to serve 2 terms. As soon as he was elected, then I saw the racism that had been sort of hidden. It came out. I mean, the racists could, okay, we can put up with this, but have a black man as president. So then, boom, and now look where we are. So I was wrong. First time in my life I was ever wrong about anything. That's a joke. Have to say that. Well, I don't have to. That's sort of the problem, like with YouTube or with other things like that. If you say something and it can be taken, somebody can take it out of context, and they can show you saying it. I'm looking at the headlines here. John F. Kennedy's, it says here, not exactly a JFK profile in courage. I read the book Profiles in Courage, and I liked it. John F. Kennedy wrote it, but of course people like that, they have people, I'm sure he came up with the ideas, and I'm sure, of course, he had help, I'm sure, with the ideas. I'm sure he wrote some things because he was a smart man. But back then, Republicans went crazy, saying he didn't write it. The story I remember in there, out of all of them, Abraham Lincoln was president. His vice president was Andrew Johnson, a Democrat. I've talked about that. And Abraham Lincoln's assassinated. Andrew Johnson becomes president of the United States, a Southerner. And the Republicans are, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Of course, these things don't mean much, when you go back to a certain point. But so the Republicans, and I'm sure, I don't think that Andrew Johnson was probably a very good president. But the Republicans, they say you can't appoint a new cabinet to Andrew Johnson. You can't fire anybody from your cabinet. And they just do all kinds of things. And Johnson says, well, I'm president, I can do, and they, no, you can't. And they end up impeaching him. First president to be impeached. He wasn't removed from office, though, but he was saved by one vote. One vote saved him from being removed from office. And of course, Congress was smaller then, because you have one representative per X number of people, and then you have 2 for each state. And so they pretty much knew, we're impeaching him, and okay, we know how these people are, we know how we're going to vote, all of us, and we know how the other people are going to vote. And it came down to one senator, Republican senator, in the state of Kansas, and he was going to be the vote. It came down to this poor Kansas, a farmer who got elected to the Senate and he just wanted to be a farmer. But he got his way. They, they threatened him. They did Republicans threatened him. They did everything to make, you're Republican, you vote with us. And when it came down to it, he couldn't do it. He knew he did the right thing. He was a profile in courage. And man, they hammered him. He went back to Kansas. I don't think he could get elected dog catcher. He probably the local grocery store. He probably couldn't get his food at the local grocery store. Probably had to send somebody, someplace else. He really made a sacrifice but did the right thing. We don't have people that do the right thing anymore. That's sad. I'll be done with this sandwich here in a little bit. One more bite. Did I tell you that I went to real estate school? I did at the beginning. Yeah. I never worked at it. I wasn't interested in it. I actually learned a lot. Tom Cruise isn't on TikTok. I don't really know what TikTok is. I think I've seen some clips. I think that's the one where your post is a minute or two or something. And is that the one where it's erased immediately or something? Did you see this thing here? These two brothers, their brother was killed a week ago. He was on the railroad. It's actually transit, city transit system, or maybe county-wide or something, that hauls people, back and forth all the time. He was on the railroad tracks, their brother, and the train hit him and killed him. A week later, just the other day, his two brothers apparently had been drinking, and they went out to the site where he was hit by the train and killed. They went out there and to do a little tribute to him after a week and to let him know how much they loved him and all this kind of stuff. Maybe they went out there and, poured a drink for him and poured it out and a couple of drinks for themselves or whatever. Train comes through and hits them and kills them both. Light rail, that's what they call it. These two brothers were walking north on the train tracks in Charlotte. And the address doesn't matter, we don't, And they were hit and killed by the Charlotte Area Transport System, called CATS, a Lynx train. Medics announced both men dead at the scene. They had been memorializing their brother on the 1-week anniversary of his death. And they were conducting a memorial service by the site where he was killed. Unfortunately, the two brothers were struck by a train while they were on foot. And they both died of their injuries quickly. The second job I had, first job I had was a place called Mastercraft Metal. They did decorative wrought iron work, stuff like that. I worked there a short period of time. Second job I had was the Darby Corporation as a welder. And I worked the night shift. and we had to park, the night shift had to park on the other side of some railroad track. Of course, we had railroad tracks that went through our plant. The plant had almost no walls. It was just more like a roof. So even when you were inside in the wintertime, you were freezing your ass off. But I didn't know, I didn't know anything about, really didn't know anything about trains. An American, especially somebody my age, shouldn't admit they really, I didn't know that much about trains. And going to get to my car at the end of my shift, I was almost killed 2 or 3 times. Just I just jumped off of the coupling or whatever I was on and got clear of the train when it started. I guess I don't know anything about physics or whatever, but you probably know this. If a train is sitting someplace, a long train, and the engine starts up, the train doesn't start going, it goes, bang. You could go into orbit, and I had just a couple of times jumped, clear of the train. Let's see here. I'm wondering, this video is so good with this new camera. I'm wondering if I should even hook up the Logitech Brio camera in it, as a second camera, because I think that you would notice you'd notice quite a bit of difference, I think, between the two. Anyway, today's my ex-wife's birthday and our grown daughter. We've got 4 kids, and I never can remember their ages. I definitely can't remember their date of birth. I can remember my date of birth and my ex-wife's date of birth, and I can remember my mother's date of birth. Of course, she's deceased, but my mother and my ex-wife, they both have dates of birth that are, like, my ex-wife is 8/8. And my mother's was 7/7 of 1917 or something like that. But you might have seen the video here. You may watch an old video, and I'll be talking about that I just turned 90 years of age. I didn't. I turned 80. And I do that not just with that. So it's actually, in a way, like in the past when I would be telling somebody, that I was, I don't know, whatever age, 35 or something, and I'd actually be 34. I was always a year behind, and then I'd find out on my birthday, oh, I'm actually not 35 or not 42 or whatever. I'm actually 41, and then I think, hey, wow. Same thing. I started telling people, that I was 90, and then my ex-wife said, "Why are you saying you're 90? You're 80." And I was like, "Wow, I'm 10 years younger than I. Never been good with numbers. No way should I have been an accountant. Well, I wasn't an accountant. I mean, something about numbers. Not sure what it was. I'm not sure if they do it anymore because there might have been political protest. When I went to high school, I graduated in 1959. In the junior year, you took a national scholarship test. All the kids in the United States that were juniors on the same day would take the national scholarship test, and that data was pulled together, and then it was, sent to the schools, and the schools gave the information to you. And in this information, it was like a computer, and at that time, I guess they did have computers, but gigantic ones that filled buildings, in order to do something simple. But it would show you your standing against with a chart and a graph, with numbers, and it would then also it would show you how you did locally. And I'm not sure if it was in your school or if it was in your city, but how you did locally, how you did against nationally, and in all the categories. And so I got this print, anyway, I think politically I have a feeling now, or at some point, the way politics in the United States, I think you'd have states saying, hell no, we're not going to test our kids and, post that information. I wonder if they still do. It might be called something different. I wonder if they still do that. If you're a teacher in the United States, let me know. Leave a comment below. I'd be curious. I hope they still do that. But anyway, I got this, and I looked at it, and I'm not sure. I think the first thing I saw was, I think I saw like the map, because it was, and then there was a graph. So you had numbers, and then you had this graph. And I saw the graph went, whoop, and, oh my God. And then math. And I think I was like in the 95% of the kids who, of course, juniors in high school probably would think they're not kids. Well, I thought so too, That's one of the things, maybe because both my parents were alcoholics, I always thought I was an adult. I always acted like an adult, well, usually. But I saw that 95% of the teenagers are better at math than I am. And I thought, oh my God. Then I think I looked at the thing that took these things, and I don't know what the numbers do, how they did it, but they come out with a score, how you're compared. And I was a little bit above average. My number was up there, and the line was up there. And for me, I thought, well, that's okay. I mean, I'm a little bit smarter than average, But then I looked at the thing, and that there was the line for math that went down like that, and then there was this line that went way to the top, and so it was the exact opposite. I was in like the top 5%. I was better at this than 95% of the other kids my age. And then of course they had a little thing that you could read telling you, and it was reading, but it was the ability to read something and filter out stuff that was not correct. I'm not sure exactly what you would call that. And I thought, wow. I sort of knew that in a little, but I didn't realize, and actually that's something that an ability that I've had. I haven't made any money off of it. I haven't, I didn't get into Harvard or Yale or any place else except community college, which I had to pay for myself. For the community college, when I was going, the, it was filled with people that were either police officers or federal protective officers, which are police officers, or people that were going into the police or gun, And I was the only one in most of these classes. Everybody was. I was the only one that was actually paying for the stuff. Everybody else was getting a LEAP or something like law enforcement assistant or something, or they were getting the money, and their classes and the books and the things were free. So, well, I do like the video camera that I got. Usually I buy something on the spur of the moment. Of course, it's not exactly a spur. I always watch YouTube videos, a whole bunch of, On this one, I didn't watch a lot. I watched, I don't know, 6 or 7. And there's a couple of YouTubers that are really good on the subject of, cameras and things having to do, creating videos and things like that. I watch them, and the guy, they do a good job. So I watched, but so I'm going to have to unhook this keyboard, which I do like. DOS keyboard. I don't think that's metal, but it sure feels like if it's not metal, they must have lead in it. It's heavy. It may be metal. Kind of hard to tell sometimes. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.